Hello, good afternoon. So we are group 17. We did the Fab Lab project. So for our initial designs, we had two. We had the foldable shelf and the multi-level puzzle box, which was our fun creative idea. But after one of our teammates had a conversation with one of his classmates and how she expressed that she was just lacking in space in her dorms, we had decided to basically help her out, and we basically saw it as a real problem, and she ended up loving it. Also, we decided on it because due for time constraints, simplicity, and usability. So then one of our teammates went into Blender and basically designed the original initial design that we had. He said that he did take some inspiration off another other shelves, but it was basically built from made from scratch.
All right, let's move on to research and training. So we had a couple of tasks. First off, we'll start off with Ivan. We assigned him to research and train how to use the CNC machine, which is designed to perfectly create 3D models out of wood and metal, as opposed to a 3D printer, which prints with plastics. And speaking of 3D printers, we had another teammate, Drist, who was in charge of making the models for our actual initial design and then printing off initial models. So he printed off the first and second models that we used to help us physically see a representation of what we were designing and how to continue to design in the future. So then Drist actually learned how to do these things, how to use a 3D printer and so on, from personal interest and things from outside of this class. And he created a lot of those things in STL format, which is great. But a lot of the devices in the Fab Lab actually use SVG and AI files. So we had to have another team member in charge of Adobe Illustrator, and that was me. So I converted those STL files into SVG format. I also converted those files into AI format. These SVG files were capable of being used on the CNC machine, whereas the AI files were necessary for conversion in order to use them with the Burn Lab program that exists within the Fab Lab itself by the laser cutter.
So here's our process. We took our initial model from Blender, 3D printed it. We wanted to use it as a reference, something that we could see, hold, so we could really understand what was going on. We also used it for testing. This testing was very valuable. A student in the dorms actually got to test it. She gave us a lot of valuable feedback and led us to redesigning some things. In this second video here, you can see that we changed the hinge design. We added a knob to pull out, and then we added levers to hold the shelf from falling apart when you didn't want it to. And right here on the left side, you can see our third model in the middle on the left side, where we kind of changed the levers a little bit. We still kept the doorknob. The hinge, we decided that it was going to be way too hard to make out of the materials because they were way too small, so we decided to use some store-bought ones. And then on the right side, you can see our parts cut out from wood. Everything didn't transition perfectly, but it was pretty accurate.
So we did learn a lot of lessons, obviously, when designing this product, because it was from scratch. But basically, when we product designed it, we learned that we must consider multiple components to ensure a well outcome. We have to recognize that people have individual preference, and testing our initial design was very crucial because it basically showed us what we needed the areas to improve, and what we needed to the experience in our Fab Lab will serve to us for future projects in many ways. Serve us applying our knowledge and skills effectively, because none of us experienced anything with a Fab Lab, and kind of going into somewhere where you don't know what to expect. But obviously, learning through each trial and error, it will make you basically gain more confidence in your work. So these are our reference. These are the 3 students that we had talked to generally a lot on the Fab Lab: Josh, Monique, and Christian. We talked to them about various things, and then these are the softwares we utilized. And another thing that we used was the Canva feature to change our text to more formal text wording.